scolded. Too late now, right?
It's hard to talk about something I love as much as Bravebird. Bravebird is not a band that's discussed much online. Their following is relatively small, especially when compared to other bands in a similar genre to them. Still, I'm impressed they got the following they did get. That's rare for a band as interesting as Bravebird. The Midwest emo genre, save for a few select albums, is not often enjoyed by the music listening public. A lot of people say they can't stand the whining or that they yell too much. I can't blame them, but that's just a small part of what Bravebird is. Born out of Ann Arbor, Michigan, Bravebird was determined in helping the local emo scene grow. Chris Liu, the main guitarist, songwriter, and vocalist for the band, wrote songs with catchy hooks and sweet-sounding riffs, while still incorporating some more complex instrumentation, being one of the bands I think best defines this genre. I don't often think of Bravebird in terms of a band with songs. I think of them more as a feeling. Bravebird, more than almost any other band, makes me feel something whenever I turn them on. They are relatable. Not specifically in a sad emo kind of way either, or in their lyrics. It's more of just a melancholy, calm, and nostalgic kind of feeling that washes over me. Even though the songs aren't particularly cheery, there's a bit of hope in each of them, whether it's a twinkly guitar riff or an anthemic outro that makes me think everything's gonna be fine. After putting out their first EP, in 2013 they worked the songs they had into their first full-length album. Maybe You is an album where I would have trouble telling you what song I was listening to, but that's only because every time I hear a song from this thing, I immediately listen to the entire record and often the follow-up. In my opinion, one of the all-time great emo albums. A near-perfect album for me. Chris has always described Ann Arbor as a bubble, separate from the greater music community, isolated. The band never knew they would go anywhere. Part of their growth was the fact that they just focused on quality songwriting. They didn't set out to write sad, emo tracks. They set out just to write good pop songs. What they became after that was out of their control. Of course, a band is not a real band in this genre without a little controversy. Chris was a very political person and often shared his views with the band's audience. For instance, the whole band was vegan and they would talk about how meat is murder on stage quite often. The band was put in hot water when he made the statement on Facebook, "If you are white and want to have a conversation about race with me, stop and back up because I'm going to punch you right in the effing teeth." This caused some support as well as some backlash in the comments, which Lou did not respond well to. After a lot of fighting and angry replies in the comments, Chris followed up his statement with more context, but for some who disagreed, this is when they stopped supporting the band. Many more stuck around though, and in a year, Bravebird had their second release. In June 2014, Bravebird released their second record, T- Grand Gesture. This album was also great, while clocking in at only 20 minutes. The songs are impactful, engaging, and a little experimental, at least for this band. On this 20-minute long 7-track album, the focus shifted towards a greater focus on lyrics and songwriting. They wanted to make a more raw record, as they thought their first release was far too overproduced for their liking. Overall, it was received well among the emo community, and I think it stands right next to their first LP. A month later, the band would announce its split in a Facebook post. Their drummer Mark quit for non-specific personal reasons, which caused the frontman and main songwriter Chris to leave too. Without them, the band couldn't really go on. To say the least, fans were pretty devastated. But above all, they just wanted to know why. They would never get a straight answer. A few months after their first album dropped, on their second tour, the drummer of the band, Mark Buckner, kept a log of everything that was happening via Tumblr, so his girlfriend at the time could stay updated on what was going on with him. Though these posts have since been deleted, small scraps still exist online. Buckner writes, "I cried in Portland, on a street corner outside of the show. Chris, Terry, and Mike asked me what was wrong, and I told them a friend of mine had died. I didn't say who. I didn't want to explain. I only knew Victoria online, but I knew her well. I've never dealt with the death of an online friend. It is strange, and it has affected me a lot more than I would have imagined. The last Facebook message Victoria sent me said she wanted to get to know me better. She sent it in April. I didn't respond. I don't remember why I didn't respond. I may have just not even noticed the message. Last night I responded, 'I'm so sorry I missed your message.'" This gives us insight, not only on some of the personal issues described in the Facebook post, but also why the band sounds the way it does. They were all going through something at the time. We all are. Everyone can relate to Bravebird. If you look hard enough online or find the right subreddits, you can still see people talking about Bravebird. There's a small minority who despise them, but the vast majority seem to think the same things. A lot of people think they're underrated. Other people think they're one of the best emo bands of all time. But one thing we all have in common is one expression. I miss Bravebird.